My abusive mother refused to leave my house because she thought I wouldn't dare kick her out. So I left her on the curb at the airport with no ticket and drove away forever. The dashboard clock read 4:58 a.m., and the silence inside my Audi was heavy enough to crush a human skull. Beside me, in the passenger seat, my mother was humming. She was actually humming. She was looking out the window at the pitch-black highway, tapping her manicured fingernails against the glass in a rhythmic, irritating click-click-click that was shredding my last nerve. She was completely oblivious to the fact that the engine was running on pure, unadulterated rage, and I was gripping the steering wheel so hard I could feel the leather creaking under my palms. She thought this was a game. She thought this was just another one of our little spats, a power struggle she would inevitably win, because she had trained me since birth to fold the moment she applied pressure. She thought she was going to push me until I broke, and then she would step over the shattered pieces of my boundaries like they were nothing, just like she did when I was 6 and 12 and 16. But she didn't realize that the terrified boy she broke 15 years ago wasn't driving this car. The man driving this car was done, and he was dangerous. To understand why leaving a 60-year-old woman on an airport curb in the freezing pre-dawn dark felt like the only justice I would ever get, you have to understand the piece of paper I keep in my fireproof safe, buried under my passport and my deed. It isn't a birth certificate or a bond. It's a yellowing photocopy of a court document from when I was 16 years old. It was during a custody hearing, a hearing I had begged for. I was pleading to live with my dad, a quiet man she had divorced and systematically alienated me from, just to escape the psychological war zone of her house. In that courtroom, she didn't fight for me. She didn't cry. She didn't look at the judge and profess her love. She took a blue ballpoint pen, the kind that leaks ink on your fingers, and she wrote across the bottom of the affidavit in jagged, angry letters that tore through the paper, "I have no son. Take him. He is dead to me." I remember the sound of that pen scratching. It sounded like a knife on bone. I remember the smell of the courtroom, floor wax and stale coffee, and I remember the look on her face. It wasn't sadness. It was relief. She was discarding me because I had become difficult. I had started to have opinions. I had started to look like my father. I didn't speak to her for a decade after that. I didn't invite her to my graduation. I didn't tell her when I got my first job. I rebuilt my life brick by brick. I went to therapy to unlearn the flinching reflex I had whenever a door slammed. I built a career in high-end logistics that requires me to be precise, controlled, and often ruthless. I bought a house, my sanctuary. It's a modern, minimalist place with floor-to-ceiling windows and silence. Sweet, expensive silence. But time has a malicious way of dulling the sharp edges of trauma. It sands down the jagged memories until you start to wonder if maybe you imagine how bad it was. So, when she reached out 6 months ago claiming she had changed, that she had found God or therapy or whatever mask she was wearing that week, I foolishly opened the door a crack. She sent a letter, handwritten. "I'm getting older," she wrote. "I just want to know the man you've become. Let's start over. Clean slate." Clean slate. 2 words that are kryptonite to a survivor. I wanted to believe it. I wanted to believe that the monster under my bed had turned into a grandmother. So when she asked to come visit for a few days, because there was an opera she wanted to see in the city, I agreed. That was my first mistake. My second mistake was giving her the gate code. She arrived last Tuesday. The red flags started waving the second she stepped off the plane, but like a colorblind bull, I charged right past them. It wasn't a comment about my weight or my job, though those came later. It was the luggage. She didn't bring a carry-on for a 3-day trip. She didn't bring a weekender bag. She dragged 2 massive, hardshell Samsonite suitcases off the carousel. The kind you take when you are moving to a new continent. "That's a lot of stuff for a 3-day trip," I noted, hoisting 70 pounds of luggage into the trunk. "You know I have a washer and dryer, right?" "Oh, a lady likes to have options," she waved me off, lighting a cigarette right there at the pickup curb, ignoring the no smoking sign. "And besides, I figured we could play it by ear. I might stay a bit longer if the vibes are right. Play it by ear, I asked, checking my blind spot as I merged into traffic. A cold prickle of anxiety started at the base of my neck. Mom, I told you, I leave for Tokyo on Sunday morning. It's a massive business trip, 2 weeks. The house will be empty. You have to fly out Saturday night or Sunday morning at the latest. My security protocols lock the house down when I'm gone. We'll see, she said, exhaling smoke out the window. You're so rigid, just like your father, always watching the clock. We'll see. 2 words that meant I'm going to do whatever I want, and you're going to let me. The visit was a nightmare of passive aggression designed to dismantle my autonomy. It started small. On Wednesday, I came home from work to find my kitchen reorganized. My spices were moved. My high-end knives were in the dishwasher, which ruins them. My protein powder was in the trash because those chemicals cause cancer. I was just helping, she said when I confronted her, playing the martyr. Your system makes no sense. I put things where they belong. This is my house, I said, taking the knives out and drying them. My system works for me. Please don't touch my things. You're so ungrateful, she sniffed. I spend all day cleaning for you, and this is the thanks I get. Then came the flashbacks. On Thursday, I was wearing a vintage cashmere sweater. It was my favorite. I left it on the chair in my bedroom. When I came home, it was hanging on the line in the laundry room. It was the size of a doll's shirt. I did a load of laundry, she chirped. That sweater smelled musty. You washed cashmere in hot water, I asked, holding up the ruined garment. Mom, the tag says dry clean only. Oh, tags are for idiots, she scoffed. It looks cleaner now. I looked at the sweater, and suddenly I was 10 years old again. I was standing in her kitchen, crying because she had thrown away my sketchbook, the one I drew my superheroes in, because she said art was for fairies and I needed to focus on math. The feeling was the same, the violation, the destruction of something I loved just to prove she had power over my reality. She didn't shrink the sweater by accident. She shrank it because it was nice. And she couldn't stand that I had nice things she didn't provide. I gritted my teeth. Sunday, I told myself, just make it to Sunday, put her on the plane and never look back. On Friday night, the tension broke. I was in the living room, packing my briefcase for Tokyo. She was on the couch, drinking a bottle of wine she had opened without asking, a 2015 Cabernet I was saving for a special occasion. Mom, I said, trying to keep my voice neutral, I need your flight information so I can print your boarding pass. I like to have everything organized before I leave. She took a long sip of wine, looking at the dark liquid swirling in the glass. She didn't look at me. Oh, I haven't booked it yet, she said casually. I froze. I stopped typing on my laptop. What do you mean you haven't booked it? You fly out tomorrow or Sunday. You arrived on a one-way ticket. Well, flights are so expensive on weekends, she sighed, examining the stem of the glass like she was a sommelier. I checked this morning and the prices are simply gouging. It's robbery. I figured I'd just wait until Tuesday or Wednesday when they drop. I can stay here while you're in Tokyo. I don't mind being alone. I can water your plants. You have so many, they'll die without me. My blood went cold. This wasn't about flight prices. This wasn't about watering plants. This was a hostile takeover. She wanted access. She wanted to be in my space, unsupervised, for 2 weeks. I knew exactly what would happen. I'd come back from Tokyo to find my locks changed or my furniture sold or her name on my utility bills. She was planting a flag. No, I said. My voice was calm, but my heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. That is not happening. I told you specifically. No guests while I am gone. My security system locks down. You cannot stay here. She laughed. It was a dry, dismissive sound that scraped against my eardrums. Don't be ridiculous. I'm your mother, not a guest. I gave birth to you. I wiped your ass. I'm not going to a hotel, and I'm certainly not paying $500 for a ticket tomorrow just because you have some neurotic rule about your house. I'll stay. It's settled. She picked up the remote, and turned the TV volume up, dismissing me. I walked over, took the remote from her hand and turned the TV off. The room plunged into silence. "It is not settled," I said, leaning down so I was eye level with her. I let the mask slip. I let her see the coldness in my eyes. "I am leaving for the airport at 5 a.m. on Sunday. You are coming with me. If you don't have a ticket, you will buy one at the counter. But you are not staying in my house. If you are not in the car, I will have you removed." She looked at me with that familiar look, the one that used to make me wet the bed as a child, the look that said, "I own you." "You wouldn't dare," she whispered. "I'm an elderly woman. I have nowhere to go. You wouldn't kick your own mother onto the street." "You have a home in Florida," I reminded her. "You are leaving." "We'll see," she smirked. She stood up, brushed past me, and walked to the guest room, slamming the door. That was the moment, that smirk. "We'll see." She was betting on my guilt. She was betting that the societal pressure of respecting your elders would outweigh my need for safety. She was betting that the little boy she threw away was still in there, desperate for her approval, desperate to be a good son. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening. The house was quiet, but it felt charged, like the air before a thunderstorm. At 2:15 a.m. I heard it, a soft creak in the hallway. I didn't get up. I grabbed my phone and opened the Nest security app. The screen glowed in the dark room. The live feed from the hallway camera showed her. She wasn't going to the bathroom. She was fully dressed in her silk robe, and she was standing outside my home office door. My office is where I keep everything: my safe, my financial records, the deed to the house, my client contracts. On the screen, I watched my mother pull something out of her pocket. It was a small, thin piece of metal, a tension wrench, a bobby pin. She knelt down. She was trying to pick the lock. She wasn't just staying, she was hunting. She was looking for leverage. She was looking for bank account numbers. She was looking for something she could use to blackmail me or steal from me while I was in Japan. I watched her struggle with the lock for 5 minutes. She couldn't do it. My locks are commercial grade. She stood up, frustrated, and kicked the door lightly. Then she moved to my bedroom door. She put her ear against it, listening to see if I was asleep. I didn't move a muscle. I wanted her to think she was safe. I wanted her to think she had the upper hand until the very last second. She went back to the guest room. I got out of bed. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I packed my bags. I showered. I dressed in my suit. I put on my watch. At 4:30 a.m. I banged on the guest room door. Bam, bam, bam. "Get up," I shouted. "We're leaving in 20 minutes. She didn't answer. I unlocked the door with my master key. She was in bed, pretending to be deep in slumber. The acting was terrible. Her eyelids were fluttering. "Mom," I said loudly, "I am leaving at 5 a.m. If you are not in the car, I am locking the house and setting the alarm. The police will be called if the motion sensors trip. Get up." She sat up, furious, the mask of the sleeping old lady dropping instantly. "You are bluffing. You aren't going to drag me out of bed. It's the middle of the night. Try me." She looked at my face. She saw the suit. She saw the bag in my hand. She realized, perhaps for the first time in her life, that I wasn't playing her game. She got up, muttering curses that would make a sailor blush. She threw her things into her suitcases with a violence that was frightening. She didn't brush her teeth. She didn't fix her hair. She marched out to the car, fuming, dragging her suitcases like dead bodies. "You are a cruel, ungrateful child," she hissed as she got into the passenger seat. "Treating your mother like cattle, after everything I did for you." "Did you book a ticket?" I asked, starting the engine. "No," she snapped, staring straight ahead. "I told you I'm not paying those prices. I'll just sit at the gate and wait for standby. Or you can pay for it since you're so desperate to get rid of me. You make enough money. You owe me." "I'm not paying for anything," I said. We drove in silence. That brings us to 4:58 a.m. The terminal lights appeared in the distance, a glowing halo in the dark mist. She turned to me, her confidence returning as we neared the airport. She had a plan. She always had a plan. "Look, just drop me at the departures. I'll go get a coffee, but if I can't get a flight, and I probably won't, I'm calling a taxi to take me back to the house. You need to leave me a key under the mat. I'm not sleeping on a bench, and don't turn on that alarm." She still didn't get it. She thought she had won. She thought the airport ride was just a formality, a hurdle she had to jump before she could return to my house and crack my safe. I pulled up to the curb at Terminal B, International Departures. I put the car in park. I hit the trunk release. I got out. The air was freezing. I walked to the back of the car and hauled her 2 massive suitcases onto the concrete curb. Thud, thud. "What are you doing?" she asked, rolling down the window. Her voice had a tremor in it now. "This isn't Delta. Delta is Terminal A domestic." "I'm flying out of Terminal B," I said, leaning down to the window. "This is my stop. I have a valet waiting." "But I need to go to Terminal A," she shrieked. "You have to drive me around. It's a mile away." "No," I said. "I don't. You're an adult. You wanted to play it by ear. This is playing it by ear." She opened the door and scrambled out. "You can't leave me here," she screamed, creating a scene. A security guard looked over. "I don't have a ticket. I don't have a ride. It's freezing. I am your mother." "You have a credit card," I said coldly. "And you have a phone. Figure it out." "I will tell everyone," she threatened, pointing a shaking finger at me, her eyes wild. "I will tell the whole family what you did. I will tell your father. I will ruin your reputation. I'll tell them you beat me." "Tell them," I said. "Tell them you tried to break into my office at 2 a.m. Tell them you refused to leave. Tell them you shrank my clothes and threw away my food. Tell them everything." I walked around to the driver's side. The valet was approaching. "Wait," she yelled, realizing the leverage was gone. The anger vanished, replaced by panic. She grabbed my sleeve. "Please, Michael, just take me back to the house. I won't snoop. I won't touch anything. I don't want to be alone." I looked at her hand on my arm. It was the same hand that wrote the note, the same hand that threw away my drawings. "I have no mother," I said, quoting the court papers she signed 15 years ago. "Take him. He is dead to me." She recoiled as if I had slapped her. I handed the keys to the valet. "Take it." I grabbed my bag. I didn't look back. I walked through the sliding glass doors into the warmth of the terminal. I could hear her screaming my name behind me, a shrill, desperate sound that used to freeze my blood. Now, it just sounded like noise. I went through security. I sat in the lounge. I ordered a whiskey. When I landed in Tokyo 14 hours later, my phone exploded. 43 missed calls. Texts from aunts I haven't spoken to in years calling me a monster. Emails from cousins telling me I was going to hell. Apparently, she sat at the airport for 12 hours. She didn't call an Uber because she didn't know how. She eventually booked a ticket home, but it cost her $800 because it was last minute. She's spinning a story that I invited her for a month and then kicked her out in the middle of the night for no reason because I'm mentally unstable. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I opened the family group chat. I attached a single file, the video clip from my Nest camera showing her kneeling at my office door at 2:15 a.m., picking the lock with a bobby pin, her face twisted in concentration and greed. I added a caption. She wasn't a guest. She was an intruder attempting to access my financial records. I removed her. Anyone who sides with a thief is welcome to join her blocked list. I hit send. The group chat went silent. No one replied. I blocked her number. I blocked her email. I ordered sushi. So, dear viewers, am I the monster here for leaving an elderly woman on the curb? Or did she finally cash the check she wrote 15 years ago? If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss an